Good afternoon, we are the History Boys, and today we're bringing you life in the First World War and the soldiers of the First World War. So you've seen our YouTube videos and Facebook before. We've done videos about North Africa and the British Airborne in World War II, but today we're bringing you the First World War.
Yes.
So, whereabouts are we, Raven?
Yeah, so we are portraying the Norfolk Regiment in 1916. We're now behind our own lines on the western front of the Somme, and we're here in sort of a farm building in some small French village. If you've seen pictures, you may have seen that this is where they came to rest when they weren't on duty.
Yeah, it's important to remember you'd only be on a frontline trench for about 3 or 4 days on average time. From there you go to reserve line for a few days and then to out of the lines, where you'd be carrying and perhaps digging reserve trenches, moving things up to the line, or if you got some time off, just having a little rest, cleaning your kit, and this and that and everything else.
Yeah.
So
Ethan will begin by talking to you a little bit about the Norfolk Regiment and in particular the division and where they were in the First World War. Then he's going to go on to the actual uniform, and then I'll talk about the webbing and equipment.
I have a few other bits to show you as well towards the end. So, as Raven pointed out, we're portraying the Norfolk Regiment. So, you see the cap badges that we both got for Norfolk, thank you very much. And the shoulder titles as well, so everybody had those. So, you might know the Norfolks became the Royal Norfolks in the 1930s, but in World War I it was just the Norfolk Regiment. So, we're portraying the 8th Service Battalion, Norfolk Regiment. They were formed in September 1914, so right at the beginning of the war. They didn't get over to France until February 1915, where they landed at Boulogne, and they spent the war on the Western Front, seeing service at Wipers, as the chaps called it, or Ypres, in 1917, and they also at the Battle of the Somme in 1916. So they were part of the 53rd Brigade, which was in the 18th Eastern Division, commanded by Major General Maxey. So they would have seen a lot of action in the sort of the Western Front trenches. So that's who we are. So if we move on to the uniform you see before us, we're wearing the 3 basic uniforms of the Tommy in the First World War. So I'm going to borrow this German bayonet to point to him with. I'll try not to stab him. You can see down on his feet here, he's got the B5 boots here. So the British Army at the start of the 20th century start wearing proper hobnailed boots as well. So these are made with the rough side of the leather on the outside, so these wouldn't have been polished, these would have just been dubbed. These are dubbing, of course, to waterproof the leather and keep them nice and soft. These aren't the only boots they're wearing, they might also be wearing B2 boots, which are black leather. These, of course, are brown. Around his legs he's got puttees. In our KD video we mentioned that the British Army is the Empire. We borrowed a lot of words from India from the Urdu language. So puttees just means bandages. These are wrapped around his legs. They keep stones out of his boots and they support his calves when he's marching long distances. His service dress uniform, 1908 service dress. This is brought in right at the start sort of the 20th century to replace the Foreign Service khaki tunics, which are sand coloured, and the Home Service red tunics. So this is lovely wool serge material. It's nice and itchy, as everyone tries to tell us, but no, it keeps him warm in the winter, keeps him cool in the summer. If it gets wet it doesn't smell very nice and it gets really heavy. It's not too bad. And underneath that he would wear something called a greyback shirt. This is something the British Army have been wearing for a while. It's just a woolen shirt. He might have his number on the front, so he's recognised. As the war went on, as more chaps joined the army, this wasn't the easiest pattern of uniform to make, so his pockets might have just been plain. There's something called the 14 pattern tunic, or a utility austerity tunic. So the rifle shoulder patches there would be gone, and the tunic's pockets would just be plain. His buttons are just general service buttons, so they were the same for everybody pretty much. Onto his headwear, he's starting with the wrong hat, so we will let him excuse himself there. So with the service dress uniform, they had the service dress peaked cap. So this is a soft cap, with a nice ridge and a peak there, so it's a stiff cap. This is what the British Army went into the war with. It's not the easiest of headwear to carry around if you're not wearing it, sorry. And it doesn't protect you from too much. The Germans are on horses, they were using swords, sword would go straight through that. When we hit the trenches, we decided to come out with a slightly softer version of the service dress cap. This is sometimes commonly called the trench cap. It can be folded up and put in his pocket if he's wearing a helmet. It's just something a bit more comfortable for the chaps to wear when not in combat. In 1915 we see the first sort of steel helmets, the Mark I Brody helmets coming in. Not that one. Yeah, they just have leather liners, leather chin straps. This is an early one here. It doesn't have a rim around it. So these aren't designed to stop bullets. It's not going to stop a direct hit. It's designed to stop shrapnel. If a bomb goes off above you in the sky, a German shell, this should allow all of the fragments of metal to bounce off and deflect down. As the war went on, these might find a nice covering in hessian or denim, a bit more camouflage in the trench. You might be able to see some of these on pictures and things from the war. So the service dress didn't go out of patterns until the 70s. I've got a jacket 1962 dated, so it's a lovely bit of uniform and lovely bit of kit the army continue to wear.
Yes.
So, webbing.
Yes, thank you.
I'm going to give Ruben the sharp pointy thing, it might not be a good idea.
Right, so Ethan is wearing the 1908 pattern webbing there. You can see he's got the blanco there. There's different types of blanco. There's lots of debate through historians of what type of blanco would have been used for sort of this brownish, greenish, khaki colour blanco that Ethan's wearing. So the main two components, you could say, is the belt and the shoulder straps, holding everything together. Webbing, but if you other way, sorry. So here he's got his ammunition pouches. He's got 5 separate little pockets there, each contain 2 lots of clips. I'll take those a bit closer. And in each clip you have got 5 rounds. So if you work out the maths, you've got 5 rounds times 2, that's 10 rounds in one pocket. 10 times 10 is 100, so they can hold 100 rounds in all. But round here, he's got his water bottle there, blue enamel water bottle in the grey felt, all held in the water bottle cradle. On his back, he has got the haversack, also known as the small pack there. We've got some items that would have been inside, but we'll show you those a bit later. But just to reference, this is the battle order kit, so everything you'd need in a battle. But when you weren't battling and you were instead marching, you would have the large pack haversack on your back there, and the small pack would be adjusted inside. The large pack would have all the essentials, so spare socks, spare pants, blankets, and other such things. Down the bottom here, he has got his entrenching tool head. So you've got the shovel end there, and then the pickaxe end on the other side. And this would be made, I'll put that to Ethan in a second, by attaching it to the helve handle there, so he can attach that.
Thank you very much.
There.
So this is the same style that was used towards in the Second World War. At the start of the Second World War, they replaced these with the larger sort of shovel-style tool, but realised that this was much more effective for digging in rather quickly.
Yep, so the pioneer tools that this is based off would be the shovel that we've got there. Ethan could carry that in his back there to allow him to dig trenches. If you didn't want to use the smaller. And as well as that, you've got the pickaxe there that he could have also carried to break up large stones and rocks in any surface or area that he would go to.
Yeah. So these might have been carried in the pouch where they're supposed to be carried. Instead of some chaps superstitiously opening their tunics and carrying these in here to sort of, in the hope that it might deflect around or stop some shells. There's some Australian chaps somewhere that's recorded that rather than carrying it in the pouch or in the tunics, they undid the trousers and carried it down the front. So clearly protecting the most important things.
Yes. So also, one other final thing we didn't mention on the webbing itself was the 1907 bayonet there. That one Ethan's got with attached to the Escalade, number 3, the Enfield, which we'll talk to now, I think.
Very shortly, yeah.
Yep.
So as well as all the 100 rounds of ammunition, you might carry a bandolier, which would carry a further 75 rounds of ammunition. On the first day of the Somme, we carried 2 of these. So do the math, 75, 75 and 100.
It's a very big number.
It's a very big number. You're carrying all the ammunition you needed for multiple days. As we said with the uniform, they made adjustments as the war, as more men needed equipment. So the same with the webbing. When this was becoming harder to produce because you needed more of it, they created this set. This is the P14, the Pattern 14 leather set. It looks rather Victorian in that it's got just 2 pouches for ammunition, and it was mainly issued to territorial forces and the Kitchener's Army, the Pals battalions. So on to rifles then. The people that were using the P14 webbing might also be using P14 rifles. So the SMLE that Ruben will show you shortly, they're the more commonly used rifles, but the P14 holds 5 rounds of 303 ammunition and was issued to territorials when these were coming out of service. But you might also see Longley Enfields and things like that being used as well.
Yes. So here we've got the SMLE number 3, the Enfield held 11 rounds.
10.
One in the chamber, isn't it?
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
I took these from there. So you've got your 10, your 2 clips there, so you have the 10 rounds in the magazine, and then supposedly you could have 1 ready in the chamber, so that's 11.
Well, the magazine comfortably holds about 8. You'd be struggling to put more than 8 in, but yeah, ideally 10 in there to do about 30 rounds a minute. The record was 35, I believe, set by a sergeant. But at the Battle of Mons, the first big battle of the First World War, the Royal Fusiliers on the bridge were using these SMLE rifles, and they were firing them so quickly that the Germans thought they all had Vickers machine guns. Yep. So the bayonet, the 1907 bayonet, which mine really needs some oiling. It's embarrassing, but yep. Bayonet like so, it gives an extra length to the rifle. As I said, preliminarily, the First World War wasn't in trenches at 1914 to start, so we'd be fighting in big open fields. This would come in handy. Fighting German cavalry as well. You could get up to the horses with these. Favoured bayonets, very nice bayonets.
Yes.
There. So.
Right, so gas is another big threat in the First World War. Wasn't first used until 1950, but when it was first introduced, was it on the French?
Yeah, it was first used against the French.
Yep. And they didn't really know what hit them, but they sort of thought that the ammonia was a cure, I suppose, or a solution to stopping the gas infecting you. And one way to get ammonia quickly was by relieving yourself. So one way to fight off the gas in the early parts of the war was by getting a sock or a handkerchief and
dipping it in a bucket of the chaps urine and breathing through it to kill and neutralise some of the chemicals in the gas. But as the war developed, as gas became more used, mustard gas, chlorine gas used by the Germans, we developed various gas masks. We had hypo hoods, which were just big hoods with face masks, again dipped in chemicals to neutralise the gas. But Ruben's displaying here the PH hood. So this is sort of famously seen, obviously, in the First World War. If you think of a gas mask in the First World War, this sort of Teletubbies type creature comes towards you. It's got 2 eyepieces and a face mask. He's going to put it on. He's only got 20 seconds to do it though. Hopefully. So a gas whistle or rattle might be blown, and he tuck that into his tunic. You carry 2 of these, and they both be dipped in the neutralising chemicals, and breathing through the tube and breathing out through the mask would neutralise it. So I got that the wrong way around. You breathe in through the mask to allow the gas particles to react to the chemicals, out through the tube, suffocating like that. But the glasses would steam up very quickly. You have to change it every now and then. Okay, you can take it off after all. By 1917, we were using these, the small box respirators, the SBRs. So this is a hose respirator like that. We haven't actually got one in the collection. If anyone would like to buy us one, you know. But these use a tin and face mask, so very similar to the Second World War ones used by Second World War soldiers. And this would be ideally the first thing you'd put on before your webbing. You're supposed to wear it at all times in and out of the line. Just throwing it on quickly like this. You can see that it would sit up on the chest here with the flap open, ready to use, like so. And it can tie up and fit there, so that's it. Gas.
Right, so Ethan is now hopefully going to talk a little bit about some of the items on the table there. Yes, a couple of the other bits of weaponry.
Yep.
So as well as the rifles, they would have used larger.
So yeah, the Vickers machine gun, famously, the water-cooled Vickers, and lighter machine guns such as the Lewis machine gun, all using the 303 rounds interchangeably. But if things get a bit more up close and personal, you need one of these. Trench clubs. They could just be bits of wood or sawn off bats with nails and barbed wire on. If you're going on a trench raid, you need to get into the German trench very quickly, whack around with that, get a few prisoners, get some paperwork, whatever you might need, get out again. The trenching tool handles were also used for this. The heavy bit of metal on the end, you could cast lead onto it, you could put hobnails in it. Lethal weapon. Got a few bayonets here on the table. This one is a French Lebel bayonet. So these are things that were found in France. So the French were using these for the Franco-Prussian War onwards. So this one, I'm not entirely sure on the date, but it makes a nice sort of triangular hole, which is very difficult to stitch up. This is a German bayonet for a Mauser K98. The Germans were primarily using. What is that word? I can't say that word.
I don't know.
University level history there. This is a German bayonet.
Primarily.
Primarily, thank you. Slightly longer than ours in comparison, but their rifles are slightly shorter, so. Yes. What we've got here, the top part of a German shell. So this one hasn't exploded too well, but we fit onto the cartridge, explode above you in the air, and send down fragments of metal all over the place. Got a pair of wire cutters. Some of the duties you might be doing in a trench, you might be part of a wire party, so you could go over to the lines, over the top, sorry, to lay wire or to cut a path through the wire before an army go over the attack. Not to cut myself there, so there's there, nice there. We've even said the large pack, and we've also got a first field dressing. So every chap would carry one of these in his pocket inside his tunic. You might be able to see here I'm wearing a sort of leather knitted thing underneath, so things that the chaps might have been able to get from home to keep them warm in the winters. The first field dressing there is a useful piece. Reuben will talk to you a little bit more about some of the items carried in the small pack.
Stop.
Why?
Oh, sorry.
Why stop?
I didn't. Right, so sorry about that technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties, yeah.
So a couple of the other small bits in the small pack. I have a small pack. Yes, sorry, spin around. Yeah, so Ethan's got his small pack on there. We've got, so the first thing is the D-shaped mess tins here, which would have attached to the back of the small pack, possibly. Oh, yeah. So here we've got your D-shaped mess tins, as I said, used for cooking and eating and drinking from. Very handy there. You've got three types there. You've got the larger one, then the smaller sort of frying pan, I suppose you could call that. And they come in. Can't get that lid on. they come in a very nice canvas cloth cover there. Also the khaki colour for camouflage as well. And another thing you might have used to drink from is your white and blue enamel pint mug there. Also very common in the First and Second World War. Even, I think modern day army still use those today. So food that you might have eaten, you've got your ration, you've got your beef stew there, made in Glasgow, all sorts of tin food that you might have eaten, and your emergency food tin there. It gives you your instructions of how to open it. I don't know why you need to know how to open it, because I'm sure you know how, but it would tell you a little bit about the contents and how to boil and how to prepare it. Made by Kaylee's in Norwich, so that's a nice local piece there, reproduction. Chocolate, chocolate's on ration, as we know, but a nice touch from home that the troops would have received. Also commonly received at the Christmas in 1914 through the Mary Ann tins and through parcels from home during that time. So the actual Bible, that's an important piece.
Yeah.
So most men probably would have carried a Bible, and when they carried the left pockets, they would have carried it in. There's loads of famous stories about the bullets hitting the Bible and saving their lives, and obviously the bullets getting stuck inside. Men were very religious back in the 1910s, so carrying a Holy Bible was very important. Another touch that they would have carried would be their personal pieces, their wallets, perhaps with photographs home, letters and other small paperwork, and a train ticket to Norwich. So the actual small pack items, you've got a wash roll that you would have carried in your small pack, all sorts of items inside. You've got the common cigarettes, lots of people smoked. If you didn't smoke, you could probably trade some cigarettes for chocolate if you did receive them. Other common things in the wash roll, we've got your bone toothbrush there with the bristles and the toothpaste there. Hygiene was still very important in the wars. You want to make sure everybody was well, looking after themselves. Yeah, so we've got the shaving equipment, you've got your shaving brush and your razor there. No beards were allowed, only moustaches or clean shaven. So that, again, that was very important. There you've got your mirror there that you could use for shaving or signalling if you can catch the sun. Cutlery, again, you need your cutlery to eat with. You've got your fork there, common, and the spoon. This is a very nice piece there. I don't think it's dated, but it is from World War One. As when I bought it, that's what I was told. And you can see there the spoon's been cut off at the top, sharpened edge, which you could in effect use as a knife for cutting food. So if you didn't have a fork, you didn't have a knife, then this you would use for everything. Very nice piece there. Other small bits and bobs we've got the housewife there. So if you fell over, say, or you were hit on your uniform, then you would probably need to sew up any holes that you would have. So I think, Ethan, have you got some holes on your trousers?
No.
No, you haven't got any holes in your trousers. That's good. But yeah, something that you'd need to do yourself. You wouldn't necessarily have your wife with you. That's why they call them the housewives. They carried all your essential needles and thread.
And a lot of the small pack kit carried over to the Second World War as well. So a lot of this you would have seen in the Second World War.
Yeah, we've got other pieces like the rations bags you've got in there, your hardtack biscuits and cooked corned beef inside there as well. So lovely, lots of different food that they would have had. Other small pieces we've got the boot brush there, just to keep the mud off your boots, I suppose. And the nice large clasp knife. The clasp knives in the Second World War were smaller. The First World War were slightly larger there on the lanyards as well. Another important piece of equipment they had. I think that's everything I think I've mentioned there for
Yeah.
small pack. Right.
So we've also got on the table there Mr. Mouse hiding behind the, the mess tins there. Animals were vitally important, or sometimes of course seen as pests during the First World War. So common animals, Reuben has gone to fetch our messenger dog, Poppy, but lice are a common problem. So one thing they might have been doing was something called chatting. Hello. So chatting was the process of removing lice from your clothing. So you could hold the clothing over a candle to burn out the lice, or you could even bite the lice eggs out of your seams. You wouldn't be given a new set of uniform necessarily. In a reserve town, you could strip down for the first time, you could have a bath, your underwear would be burnt, and then be able to give your service dress to a local French lady who would wash it and repair it. So we brought in our messenger dog here. So Ruben, let's talk to you a little bit about that.
Yeah, so obviously delivering messages was important in the First World War. What did you have to deliver messages?
Well, not always. Communication lines might get severed if you can't always send a runner. You can't send a pigeon.
Yeah, if you've seen 1917, the film, then you would have seen that the main man there was the runner delivering the message.
But why dogs? Why would you send a dog?
Well, the dogs are, I suppose, quicker.
Yep, they're harder to hit.
Yes, they can obviously be trained to run between two posts, two people with some sort of sound or whistle. So we've got the messenger dog here. Should have her collar on and some capsule with a message inside.
Come on, we got a message to deliver.
Come on.
No. So there's quite a few famous dogs in the First World War. The Americans had their Sergeant Stubby, he was a bulldog, but popular dogs in the trenches as well. Labradors and Jack Russells. Ratting dogs, terriers that were good for getting rats, or small quick dogs that are able to get a message to a position.
And we all know that Hitler himself
Probably had a dog
adopted
as well.
a dog in
Yeah.
the First World War, which perhaps saved him.
Shame really. We've also got a pigeon
Yes,
as well.
Firstly the pigeon here.
Pigeon, so messenger pigeons, he's not speckly unfortunately, but we've got our little messenger pigeon there.
Yeah, it's also used
To send messages between if the field telephone lines were cut or went down, or you couldn't send a runner, then you might have to rely on animals.
I can't quite remember the name of the medal.
The Dickin Medal, of course, famously created, so the men who had the Victoria Cross. For animals, you could win the Dickin Medal for animal bravery. What's the message?
So the message is the kettle's on.
The kettle's on, right? Well, I think we've talked about almost everything. Pops, come in. Say goodbye. We hope you've enjoyed our little talk on the First World War. What are we doing next week?
Next week we have got a virtual event, space. We're doing something for that on both Saturday and the Sunday, about 20-minute, 30-minute video.
So we haven't been able to go into everything in detail, obviously we haven't talked about everything in the First World War. So if there's anything that people would like to know a little bit more about, or felt we didn't explain something, please do let us know in the comments or send us a message. We'll have to hear from you. In a couple of weeks' time, the camera's going to blow up. Yeah, obviously the weather is something you have to contend with in the First World War as well, so the camera's got blown over there. But that's pretty much us finished for today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for watching.
I've been Ruben.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.